What's cracking, everyone? SinisterBaller back here with episode 3 of Father at 55. In this episode, I'd like to go over what most people consider to be the most important aspect of having a child and raising a family, and that is money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Do I subscribe to that? While money is a huge factor, finding the right person to have that family with I think is what the most important thing is. So money is a close second. Before we get into it, I'd like to thank everyone that's viewed my content so far. I really appreciate it. And please hit the like and subscribe button below. Really appreciate it. Drives my numbers up, and I want to get to 50 subscribers so I can start going live and doing live streams and stuff like that. So please subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when I come out with new content. With that, let's get into it. So what I want to do is I want to go into my finances, how they evolved from my 20s, 30s, 40s, and into my 50s. There's a lot of things around the internet that a man really doesn't hit his financial stride until about, 40s, 50s. And that is true in my case. Even though in my 20s I was making good money. The 20s was the 90s for me, and that is when IT really started booming with personal computers for businesses, ready-made computers going out on a large scale, the internet popping off, and video games. And video games and gaming. So the 90s was the real, kind of boom of the IT industry. So so I was making really good money. It had its ups and downs because, like I said, at the beginning of my 20s, at the beginning of the 90s, I was making really good money. But then, if you're old enough to know, we had a recession in the early 1990s. So wasn't working for a while, partying a lot before I went into the military in 94. So wasn't working for a while then, and then I went into the military. Military is going to pay you. When you're single, you live in the barracks, and you all the money you make really is extra money. Because they take care of your clothes, they take care of your housing, they take care of your food. So all the money you make, which was what in my rank was probably around $1,000 at the time. That's how much money I was making. So got out of the military, got a really good job, started making money. So from the time I got out of the military until the end of the 90s, I was making really good money. Had my own place, had a nice car, and really saving money, and not saving as much as I should and investing as much as I should. I really didn't have that financial literacy that I should have, and that what I'm going to pass down to baby baller. And but I didn't have that. So I would save some, but it was mostly going out to, for bills and, having fun, things like that. So in my 30s, now this is a rough time. My 30s and my 40s were kind of rough. Hold that thought. Okay, now going into my 30s, that is when Big Baller, my oldest son, was born, and that's when my issues with the family court started. It started about 3 months into him being born. So that's when the child support started. That's when the lawyer started. That's when the court started. So that ate into a lot of my money. I started working nights as well, so he didn't have to go to daycare, and so that hit in. I wasn't able to make as much money, but I still made good money. It was worth it, well worth it. When he was with me, when I got joint custody, when he was with me, he wasn't sick. Prior to that, when he was in daycare all the time, he was sick all the time, ear infections, pink eye, and at around 1 year old, he had to have surgery to put tubes in his ears. because he had an ear infection that wouldn't go away. So I didn't want him in daycare, so I got a job working nights. The child support was a big, big issue in my 30s and my 40s, but most of all in my 40s. My 30s, most of it was depression. I wasn't able to see my kids, and when depression hit, it affected my finances, which most people it would. So was like I said, I was medicating with herb, with alcohol, with partying, all that stuff. So that's where my money was going. So my 30s was really, really bad with money management. I was still making good money because I had a good IT career, a lot of knowledge and stuff like that. So didn't have problem making money, but as we all know, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you spend. So I had a lot of money going out, had a lot of money coming in, and had a lot of money going out. So wasn't good, a good combination. So that was pretty much my 30s. It was just stagnant. It wasn't any growth, but it wasn't any really, really, really decline. Money wise, as far as bank, but as far as my credit, yeah, it took a hit because a lot of bills weren't getting paid. Depression, you're not paying bills on time, things like that. So, um, so that was an issue. Got a repossession. I got my car repo because I wasn't paying my bills on time. So that affected my credit as well. So my credit in my 30s hit an all-time low. I'm not going to give you the number, but it was pretty bad. So that was my 30s. Okay. Now going into my 40s. Okay, that was when I hit my rock bottom at 40, and then when I started to rebuild myself back up. So I started. I got a credit card, a secure credit card. Started building my credit back up, and doing a little bit more as far as saving money and attempting to save money. So, however, like I said in my last video, when I came out to Florida in my early 40s, that's when I hit a real big bombshell. So in California, I don't know how it is in other states, but in California, the way the child support system works is when when the child support order is signed. Okay, let's say somebody goes in and asks for more money. When that is signed, it doesn't automatically go to the enforcement arm. Okay, the person who won that judgment, either for more child support or reduction, the person who won is responsible to take that to the enforcement arm of the child support system. So what happened was my oldest son's mom, she took me to court in 2009 and won to get more child support. So the thing is that she did not turn that in. Okay. She did not turn that in for 3 years. Okay. She could have held on to it as California child support law. The way they do things is that she could hold on to it as long as she wants. Okay. Until that kid turns 18. So kid turns 17, she could hold on to it for 10, 15 years. Doesn't matter. Okay. So she held on to it for 3 years. When I moved out here to Florida in my early 40s, she turned it in. Okay. And it goes back. It doesn't start when you turn it in. It goes back to when it was signed. Okay. So it goes back to when it was signed. So all of a sudden, I owed $20,000.
Son of a bitch!
Before that, I didn't have any problems with any arrears. Child support was being taken out of my check. Everything was good. All of a sudden, I get a letter in the mail out here in Florida. I owe 20 grand. Okay. And the interest on top of that is substantial. So not only was I paying an increased amount of child support, I had $20,000 in arrears. Okay. So even with the increased child support with arrears, I was only paying into the interest and the principal kept on going up. So by the time I was able to actually make enough money to start paying and paying down the principal, it ballooned up to almost 60 grand.
Damn!
Okay. So that was my mid 40s, mid to late 40s, you know, was basically having that hanging over my head. And if anybody knows about the child support and having arrears, is that you're unable to get a passport, you're unable to get a legit bank account. Okay, because they'll go into they find out you got a bank account, they'll go in there, they'll subpoena your bank, and then get all that money out of your account. Okay. So any money you deposit into that, they take it. So, um, so that was me going in, and by the time I really started paying it down, I was in my late 40s, and I wasn't able to completely pay that down until I was almost 50. Now, prior to my divorce, me and my ex-wife, we had talked about it. We were like, hey, I came to her. I said, look, between us, we make a lot of money, so we can take care of this. You know, she was like, no, that's your debt. Okay. Now we were, the true 50-50. That's how we were, paying half the rent, half the bill, you pay this bill, you pay that, stuff like that. That's how it was. It was more of a roommate kind of relationship. So, like I said in the last episode, it was very weak foundation. So that's not how I run, my household today. That's not how me and my wife do it today. A whole different, kind of thing. We do it, everything that comes into the house, it goes into a pot, and she wants me to take care of. She's like, hey, you take care of the bills and stuff like that, all that, paying the bill, all that good stuff, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So and it works for us. That works for us. So she was like, no, that's your debt. So she decided, my ex-wife, she decided to pay all the bills. She said, hey, I'll pay all the bills, and you can pay that down. So before the divorce, I was able to pay it down a considerable amount, probably a little more than half. So by the time I moved out and got the divorce, it was probably down to about 25 grand. So I made a decision. I said, hey, I need to pay this off. Okay. So instead of moving into a nice apartment, because like I said, I am making really, really good money. I said, hey, you know what? Let me move into a smaller place, save money, take care of this, and move forward, because this was really, really, really stalling my life. So that's what I did. I moved into a small place. I mean, in California and LA, we call it a single. Out here, they call it an efficiency. So I moved into a 250 square foot place. I believe it was a converted hotel room. It was that small. Okay. So lived there for a year during the start of COVID, and paid that off, and yeah, and was able to got a passport, got my bank account, and it's been great since then. So going into that was my 40s. Okay, having to deal with that, having to deal with the child support situation, and then now in my 50s, I got the child support taken care of. And I believe when I got my child support taken care of, I only had about $200 in credit available. That was the secure credit card. I still had that. That was the only credit card I had. Okay, my credit was still building. It wasn't as bad as when I got the secure credit card, but it still wasn't good. So once I paid off my child support, that kicked it up. And then once I did that, the company I had the secure credit card with, they decided, okay, all right, we're going to give you back, your deposit, and we're going to raise your limit. So that's what they did. They built that up. I was paying that off, things like that, at the end of the month, and I continued to grow my credit. Got another credit card, and then I was able to get an American Express after that. So I have now total three credit cards with a total amount of credit of about 30,000. Now. So, and my credit is in the upper 700s now. So um, good money, credit's good, and those credit cards I pay off every month. And get credit cards with perks. I have one that has the travel miles. Everything we purchase and stuff like that, it goes into travel. So we use that, and so we have points. So we don't have to pay for our travel. So that saves us money. And have one for we get cash back on stuff we use everything like grocery stores, like gas, things like that. So we can use those when we purchase things on like Amazon or things like that, things the baby needs. So we save money that way. So you have to get credit cards that actually give you something, because they want your business, especially if you're responsible with your money and your finances. They want your business. Okay. So you say, hey, you know what are you gonna offer me? It's always a give and take, kind of thing. So yeah, that's my advice as far as that's concerned. So in my 50s, I got a lot more financially literate, and basically just hey, you know what? Let's take care of this. Let's get this stuff going. To stop being in crisis mode, and be in chill mode. Just take everything. I ain't got to spend. Everything doesn't have to go out. I know my wife, doesn't like to hear me say no, but a lot of times, especially when we first started and first moved in, I had to tell her no a lot. To get her used to, okay, this is how we're gonna do things. This is the plan. This is where I want to be in this. Once we got on the same page, it's not like, okay, all right, this is our budget. This is what we're doing, and this is the road we're on, and she's on the same page. So, I really don't have to, we really don't have to go through that, that much. Oh, kids tired, so wife's trying to put him to sleep. So that's what's going on in my 50s, and a lot better, a lot more manageable, and a lot less stress. So yes, I'm hitting my stride in my 50s. Everything is good. Savings is good. Investments are good. So yeah, that is how I prepared for this, and how I knew that I had what it took as far as financially, to go on this journey. So that is pretty much it. As far as the money is concerned, and now that is it. As far as the journey and what took me to get here, how did I get here? We talked about as far as why now. In episode 1, why now? Why am I choosing to have a kid now? In episode 2, that was the journey, basically from my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, the journey to get here, mind, body, and soul. And now episode 3, we take care of the money aspect. So though all those are hit, all those are done, and so I have everything set. So now it's on to post. I know I've said this before, but it's now time for post pregnancy test. Okay, and what we have to deal with, as far as that's concerned. So I promise, I'm going to we're going to start that in the next episode. Okay, so thank you again for watching, and please again hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you get notified when I drop my next video and other videos. I am also working on Back to Ballin'. That should be coming out, pretty soon. And I'm going to go through the same kind of thing, the backstory, why I'm starting this series and where I'm at as far as balling. And when I talk about balling, it's basketball. So yeah, that's gonna be a good one as well. So please keep on looking out for that one, and like I said, subscribe and hit that bell so you know when it comes out. Okay, appreciate you. Remember, mindset is the only word you can control. WFAW. Peace.